Allahu, 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 Allah. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Alhamdulillah, now we'll begin with the guest speaker. I'll just introduce the guest speaker for those of you who may not know. Shaikh Abdur Rahman Waheed. He grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and he subsequently went to study in Canada, his hifz. At the age of 10, he completed his hifz, and then he enrolled in the Uloom program in the Darul in Ajax, Canada. After the completion of that in 2006, he went overseas to Pakistan to do his ifta. Afterwards, he's also gone extensively throughout the world to do dawah in tabligh. Currently, he's now a director and a teacher at one of the schools in Michigan, where he teaches tahfiz of Quran, the memorization of the Quran. And he's also pursuing his medical degree at Wayne State University. Shaikh Abdur Rahman Waheed.
Assalamu alaikum. At this moment in time, I would like to remind, especially our sisters at the back, please, if you have young children, control them, make sure they're not running around, making noise, and especially yourself also amongst yourself, please listen attentively to the lecture and do not make any noise, please. If you have to talk for some emergency reason, please go at the back where you're not disturbing or distracting anybody. Jazakallah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the tawfiq.
I would request if everyone can just say Darul Sharifs. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulih al-Kareem. Amma ba'd. قال الله عز وجل في كتاب العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام ألا إنها ستكون فتنة قلت ما المخرج منها يا رسول الله قال كتاب الله فيه نبأ ما قبلكم وخبر ما بعدكم وحكم ما بينكم وهو الفصل ليس بالهزل من تركه من جبار قسمه الله ومن ابتغى الهدى في غيره أضله الله وهو حبل الله المتين وهو ذكر الحكيم وهو الصراط المستقيم وهو الذي لا تزيغ به الأهواء ولا تلتبس به الألسنة ولا يشبع منه العلماء ولا يخلق عن كثرة الرد ولا ينقضي عجائبه وهو الذي لم تمته الجن إذا سمعته حتى قالوا إنا سمعنا قرآنا عجبا يهدي إلى الرشد فآمنا به من قال به صدق ومن حكم به عدل ومن دعا إليه هدي إلى صراط مستقيم ومن عمل به أجر أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected brothers and elders and fellow youngsters and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this short span of time that we have, I would like to shine some light on a few important things, and hopefully if Allah gives me the tawfiq to do so, I can do so inshallah. You see, my dear friends, among all the makhluk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah has given the most honor and dignity to a human being. Allah has blessed the human being with the most honor, most respect. Every single other makhluk of Allah is serving the human being. The sun is serving the human being. The moon is serving the human being. The water is serving the human being. The animals are serving the human beings. And the human being has been given the most respect by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a person should sit down and think for a second. I spoke about this in the morning for a few minutes. I want to elaborate about this. A person should sit down and think for a second that why has Allah given me so much respect? Why has Allah given a human being so much honor? Is it because the human being is the strongest of all creation? Absolutely not. أَأَنْتُمْ أَشَدُّ خَلْقًا أَمِ السَّمَاءِ? Allah says, you tell me, is the sky a stronger creation or a human being a stronger creation? A lion is a stronger creation than a human being. An elephant is a stronger creation than a human being. So the human being is not the strongest creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is the human being the most beautiful creation of Allah? Nobody pays hundreds and thousands of dollars to see somebody's face, but they do pay that to see Niagara Falls. They do pay that much money to go to the Bahamas and see the beaches, and to see the water, and to see the forests and rocky mountains. So the human being is not the most beautiful creation of Allah. There are other creations of Allah that are more beautiful and appealing than a human being. In fact, the human being is actually a very dirty creation of Allah. Everything that comes out of this human being's body is dirty. His spit is dirty. If his spit falls on somebody's clothes or hands, he wipes it off right away. The blood that comes out of his body is dirty. If it touches his clothes become impure. He has to wash them before he can pray salat. His urine is dirty. Everything that comes out of this human being's body is dirty. It's either a means of impurity that he has to do wudu again or take a shower again. So then why is this human being given so much respect? Why did Allah give this human being so much honor? That, oh human being, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. You have been given the most respect. This is a very pivotal question. Very important question. And the answer to this question, my dear friends, is that the human being's value in the eyes of Allah is not based upon how much wealth he has. The human being's value, not in the eyes of people. It doesn't matter what the people think. In the eyes of Allah, the value of a human being is not proportionate to his wealth. It's not proportionate to his houses, or to his properties, or to his education. We had a doctor, his name was Dr. Raval in Michigan. And for the last many years, his daily earning was $50,000 profit. Daily earning. He died at 51 years old because both of his kidneys failed and he had a massive heart attack. He died without Imaan. He has no value in the eyes of Allah. No value. So what holds value in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We see from the stories of the Sahaba and the teachings of Allah and His Rasul that the only thing that holds value in the eyes of Allah is something that we call sifat. What is it called? Say it louder. What is it called? Qualities. Qualities. When a person possesses qualities, he becomes valuable in the eyes of Allah. And if a person doesn't possess qualities, he is invaluable in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Has no value. The Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in were the greatest of all people because they possessed the greatest of all qualities. It's like a tree that has 360 qualities, 360 branches. فَإِذَا أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَبْدًا أَعْطَاهُ مِنْهَا خَصْلَةً وَاحِدًا. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves somebody, Allah gives him or her one complete quality. How many qualities? Just one. Not 360. Allah gives him one complete quality. What does one complete quality mean? We're sitting here today thinking, hey, you know what? I have many qualities. I'm generous. I have sabr. I am pious. I have taqwa. But unfortunately, all of these qualities that we think we have are incomplete. They're not complete. And there's no value for an incomplete thing. There's no value for an incomplete thing. As Dr. Saab sitting over here. A person who does medical school and he's almost complete, but he doesn't do residency, no value. You have to finish it. A person who builds a house, he spends $500,000 on a house, but he leaves one portion of the house incomplete, that has no value. You can't benefit from it. Today we have sabr, but it's incomplete. Our sabr we show when the employer is nagging us, or we're sitting in a taxi and the person is saying something to us. But when we go home in front of our wives, we show no sabr. Our sabr is out the window. We leave the sabr outside the house and we come inside the house. We have piety in front of people, but when we're sitting alone, our piety is left outside the window. So our qualities are all incomplete. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves somebody, Allah gives him one complete quality. يُدْخِلْ بِذَلِكَ الْجَنَّةِ. And what happens when he gets this one complete quality? Allah blesses him with Jannah because of one complete quality. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was sitting there at that moment. He said, Ya Rasulullah, أَفِيَ شَيْءٌ مِّنْهَا? O Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do I possess any one of those 360 qualities? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ جَمْعٌ مِّن كُلٍّ. I swear by Allah, O Abu Bakr, you have all 360 qualities. Not one, O Abu Bakr, you have all 360. You have all of them. The Sahaba were great because they possessed qualities. Not because they were strong human beings. Umar was strong before he accepted Islam. Not only strong after he accepted Islam. Hazrat Umar was walking once in Makkah. He said, "Fi ayyi wadin nahnu?" What valley are we in right now? And he was told that this valley's name is such and such. He started crying and he said, "You know what? Should I not relate an incident to you people?" They said, "Yeah, go ahead, Amir al-Mu'mineen." He said that this is the same valley, I can recognize these mountains. This is the same valley where my father used to send me with his sheep. And I was a shepherd. And I used to take these sheep in the morning and bring them back in the evening. And my job was to make sure that all these sheep ate from fresh grass and they grazed properly. And they came back, all of them came back together. If we go to Pakistan, India, or Bangladesh, we see how shepherds work. They're walking behind the sheep, they're eating one place, then they walk behind them, and throughout the morning, they come back in the afternoon time. He said, every day when I used to come home, either a sheep was missing, or either some sheep ate and some sheep didn't eat. So I never grazed the sheep properly. So my father used to look at me, Khattab used to look at me, and he used to slap me. And he used to say, "You can't even graze sheep? Go to my sister." Then he used to send me to my aunt, who was the sister of Khattab, Popo. I used to go to her. And then she used to beat me. And she used to say to me all the time, "Oh Umar, what will you do in your life? You can't even graze sheep. What will you do in your life? You can't even graze sheep." And he says, "Today I'm Amirul Mu'mineen. Today I'm Amirul Mu'mineen, ruling the whole world." How did they become like this? Because they possessed qualities. There's books upon the qualities of the Sahaba. And I'll mention one or two, because this is not what I'm talking about, but I'll mention few things because we think the Sahaba became great because they were just great people. No, they possessed qualities. Once Abdullah bin Abbas radiallahu anhu came and he walked in the majlis of Muawiyah ibn Sufyan radiallahu anhu, and Hazrat Muawiyah said, "Today I'm going to ask Abdullah bin Abbas some questions. Ya'yi bi jawabiha. He will not be able to answer these questions." Abdullah bin Abbas was a person known as Hadir Jawab. You ask him any question, he will answer it instantly. He said, Hazrat Muawiyah challenged that today I will ask him some questions that he will not be able to answer them. And the person sitting with him said, "No. Laysa mithla ibn Abbas ya'i bi masailika." Abdullah bin Abbas is not some normal person. Whatever question you will ask, he will answer. He said, فَمَا تَقُولُ فِي أَبِي بَكْرٍ. Oh Abdullah bin Abbas, what do you say about Abu Bakr? He said, رَحِمَ اللَّهَ أَبَا بَكْرٍ كَانَ وَاللَّهِ لِلْقُرْآنِ تَالِيًا وعن الميل نائيا وعن الفحشاء ساهيا وعن المنكر ناهيا وبدينه عارفا ومن الله خائفا وبالليل قائما وبالنهار صائما ومن دنياه سالما وعلى عدل البرية عازما وبالمعروف آمرا وإليه صائرا وفي الأحوال شاكرا ولله في الغدو والرواح ذاكرا ولله في كل وقت وأوان ذكورا فاق أصحابه ورعا وكفافا وزهدا وبزازة وبرا وحياة وكفاءة فعاقب الله من طلبه اللاعين يوم القيامة. He asked one question. What was the question? What do you say about Abu Bakr? What was the question? आप अबू बकर के बारे में क्या कहते हैं? That's it. And Abdullah bin Abbas had to control himself while answering the question. Because right when Abu Bakr's name came, the picture of a man with qualities came. And then he related those qualities. He related those qualities. When you say this car is very good car, you know, when we're young, we have a little, astaghfirullah, youngsters born in America have a problem with cars. We have different problems, but I have a problem with cars. So when somebody asks me, Mufti Sahib, what kind of car do you have? This car right here, it has 450 horsepower, it has this, has that, and I relate the qualities of the car. I relate the qualities of the car. And because of the qualities, the other person holds value for the car. Oh, that's what it has in it? Okay, no problem. That's why it's a good car. So when you talk about somebody, you're talking about his qualities. He said, Rahimallahu Abu Bakr. May Allah have mercy on Abu Bakr. Kana wallahi lil Qur'ani taliya. He was a man, whenever you would see him, he would be reciting Qur'an. Wa anil mayli na'iya. He would stay far away from anything that would take him away from Allah. Wa anil fahsha'i sahiya. What a beautiful quality. You know what this means? He was a man that did not even know about sins. Forget doing sins. He didn't even know these type of sins existed. You know, today we say, oh, you know, I'm very educated about everything. Oh, I know about that, I know about that. Abu Bakr anhu was a man who was not even educated about sins. وَعَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ سَاهِيًا وَعَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ نَاهِيًا. He would prevent people from doing the wrong things. وَبِدِينِهِ عَارِفًا. He knew about his whole entire deen. وَمِنَ اللَّهِ خَائِفًا. He feared Allah in public and in privacy. وَبِاللَّيْلِ قَائِمًا. You go to his house at night, he would be standing praying tahajjud. وَبِاللَّيْلِ صَائِمًا. You would see him in the day, he would be fasting in the day. وَمِن دُنْيَاهُ سَالِمًا. He was a person who was absolutely uncontaminated from dunya. He was not contaminated from dunya. وَمِن دُنْيَاهُ سَالِمًا. He was a person, if he left the world today, he had no dunya on him, no love of dunya. وَمِن دُنْيَاهُ سَالِمًا. وَعَلَىٰ عَدْلِ الْبَرِيَّةِ عَازِمًا. He was a man who made an oath to himself that I will bring justice to this world. بِالْمَعْرُوفِ آمِرًا. He was a man who used to enjoin good, encourage people to do good. وَإِلَيْهِ صَائِرًا. And not just talk the talk, but also walk the walk. Not just enjoin, but he used to do it himself. وَفِي الْأَحْوَالِ شَاكِرًا. He was a man that did shukr to Allah in all situations. وَفِي الرَّخَاءِ. In good and bad, in any situation, he was a man who used to do shukr to Allah. How Shah Waliullah Dehlawi writes in Al-Fawzul Kabir, وَلَوْ أَنَّ لِي فِي كُلِّ مَنْبَةِ شَعْرَةٍ لِسَانٍ لَمَا أَسْتَوْفَيْتُ وَاجِبَ حَمْدِهِ. If Allah gave each and every one of us, and every single pore of our body became a tongue, and all these tongues in every single pore of our body, not one tongue. You can imagine how many hundreds of tongues this poet is elaborating towards. Our body possesses hundreds of tongues. And at once, all these tongues do shukr of Allah. Oh Allah, I thank you for all the ni'mas you have bestowed me with. لَمَا أَسْتَوْفَيْتُ وَاجِبَ حَمْدِهِ. I still cannot thank Allah the way you should be thanked. I still cannot thank Him. So a man who used to do shukr to Allah in all conditions. Then he said, you're talking about Abu Bakr? فاق أصحابه ورعا وكفافا وزهدا مبرا وحياتة وزهادة وكفاءة. He was a man who just ran away from everybody in all qualities. Everybody was second. Everybody, Hazrat Umar used to say, لَوَدِدْتُ أَنِّي فِي الْجَنَّةِ حَيْثُ أَرَى أَبَا بَكْرٍ. I make dua to Allah that Allah gives me that Jannah at least where I can at least see Abu Bakr. At least I can see him because he's far away from us. A man of qualities. Then he said, what do you say about Umar bin Khattab? I'll just mention two Sahabas. I don't have time to mention all of them. He said, رحم الله أبا حفص كان والله مأوى الأيتام كان والله حليف الإسلام ومأوى الأيتام ومحل الإيمان ومعاذ الضعفاء ومعقل الحنفاء للناس حسنا وللخلق عونا قام بحق الله صابرا محتسبا حتى أظهره الله الدين وفتح الديار وذكر الله في المناهل والأقطار وعلى التلال وفي الضواحي والبقاع وعند الخنا وقرى وفي الشدة والرخاء شكورا ولله في كل آن وقت ذكورا فاق أصحابه ورعا وكفافا فعاقب الله من سلبه اللائعين يوم القيامة. He said, you asking about Umar? كان والله حليف الإسلام. He was a fort of Islam. You know what a fort is? A fort is something where you protect from all around and nothing can come in. He never let any contamination come into Islam. وَمَحَلَّ الْإِيمَانِ وَمَحِلَّ الْإِيمَانِ. He was a person who was a generator of Iman. You sit next to him, your Iman will go, your Iman will increase. He was a generator of Iman. وَمَعَاذَ الدُّعَفَاءِ. Allahu Akbar. He was the only hope for the weak people. Weak people, they used to ask weak people, who do you have in this world? And they used to proudly say, Umar is our Amirul Mu'mineen. He will take care of us. وَمَعَاذَ الدُّعَفَاءِ وَمَعْقَلَ الْحُنَفَاءِ. Umar, you're asking about Umar? This is the same Umar. When he used to sit down and eat, one of the governors of Yemen came and he sat down and ate with him. And when he sat down and ate food with him, he was looking in the curry. In the curry, the shorba curry, he was eating. Now, hamari tarah wo gosht dhoond raha tha. He was looking for the meat. Now, finally, he sees something that looks like a meat particle. He picks it up and he puts it in his mouth. And he eats and eats and he bites and bites. But that meat was not edible. So then he spits it out and he leaves it on the dasakhan. So Hazrat Umar says, مَا أَعْجَبَكَ طَعَامِي. You did not like my food. He didn't say anything. Now he became thirsty. He picked up the water, that so-called liquid that was sitting on the dasakhan. He picked it up and he drank some of that. As he drank it, he spat it out. Hazrat Umar calmly said, مَا أَعْجَبَكَ شَرَابِي. You did not like my drink either? Then he said, oh Amirul Mu'mineen, let's put the record straight, man. You know, we have so much wealth. Allah has opened up the world, luxuries, the Kisra and Kaisar of the treasures are on your feet. And you're eating like this? Why are you eating like this for? Hazrat Umar Khattab said, for the last year, there is famine and poverty in Medina. And in that year, they say that Umar Khattab, his clothes that he used to wear, in that 1 year he became so weak, you could fit 2 Umars in those clothes. Because he became so skinny. He says, what can I tell you? If you want to ask why I eat this food, I'll tell you. He said, every single day, me and Aslam, we wake up in the morning after Fajr Salat, we go to the camel market. We get a camel and we slaughter the camel ourselves. And then we skin the camel and we make pieces and we make portions of this camel meat. Just think about that for a second. How many of us actually do that when we do Dabaha in Eid al-Adha? We go there, we don't have time. We just slaughter and leave. You skin, you make pieces, you do everything. I'm busy. Amirul Mu'mineen, now with a small little sheep, every morning with a camel, cutting it, skinning it, breaking it into pieces, and then himself distributing all the meat among all the poor people of Medina. And then among all the Ummahatul Mu'mineen. And then he says, once all this meat is distributed, that portion of the camel that is not edible by a human being, I keep that for me and my family. I keep that for me and my family. And this is our food for the whole year, every single day. And since that portion of the camel contains so much toxics and toxins, so when we eat it, it can make us unhealthy. So that liquid that you're drinking is vinegar. So when you drink that vinegar, it calms everything down and it brings everything back to an equilibrium in the stomach. This is what I eat every single day. وَمَعَاذَ الدُّعَفَاءِ. A man who is the last hope for weak people. وَمَعْقَلَ الْحُنَفَاءِ. Pious people used to come to him and sit with him if they ever felt like their iman was going lower. لِلنَّاسِ حِسْنًا. He was the protection for people. When people used to ask him, when the governors were sent from Rome, and they used to come, they say, "O Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar al-Khattab, who is your bodyguard?" You know what he used to say? You say, all these people in Medina, you see the people sitting here, I am their bodyguard. Did you ever see a bodyguard having a bodyguard? Did you ever see a bodyguard having a bodyguard? I am their bodyguard. So I don't need a bodyguard. قام بحق الله صابرا محتسبا. What sabr? With with the feeling and the intention of getting reward, he stood up, and because of him, Allah spread deen throughout the four corners of the world, until in the mountains, in the forests, in the deserts, Allah's name was being mentioned, and all due respect from the mercy of Allah. And then because of this man, Umar bin Khattab anhu, وَعِنْدَ الْخَنَا وَقُورًا, he was a man, when he used to get angry, there was nobody like him. But Abu Hurairah once said, how was Umar bin Khattab? He was in a different city. How was Amir al-Mu'mineen? They say he's a very nice man, but when he gets angry, don't even come near him. You know what Abu Hurairah told them? So should I not tell you a medication whenever he gets angry? You do this in front of him and be fine. So what's the medication? They said, whenever he gets angry, you say, قال Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and see what happens. They had so much affect and love of the words of Rasulullah that whenever he used to get angry, people used to say, قال Rasul, he used to sit down right away. What did he say? He forgot his anger. So my dear friends, these Sahaba, they were great because they possessed great qualities. Now the question is, how do I possess these qualities? How can my children develop these qualities? That's the question now. How much time do I have left? 5 minutes. Now the question is, how can I develop these qualities, and how can my children develop these qualities? The answer to this question is very easy. The answer to this question is very easy. Where do cars get made? In the factory of cars. There are factories that generate cars. There are factories that generate batteries. There are factories that generate plastic bottles. There are factories that generate boxes. And there's also factories that generate human beings. And if you go to this factory, and when you get out from this factory, a human being will be developed. And today there's a shortage of human beings in this world. There's a shortage of human beings. Forget ulama and hufaz. There's a shortage of human beings. There's not many human beings walking around. A human being is a person who can partake in your sadness, can partake in your happiness, but we don't have human beings walking around. So that is why, how to develop these qualities in our children? The first and foremost, the biggest factory to develop qualities in human beings is a madrasa. What is it, guys? Say, a madrasa. A madrasa, once a person came to the Messenger and said, Rasulullah, dullani ala rajulin, tell me somebody who can teach me something very good. The Prophet said, go to Abu Ubaidah. And then once he sent him to Abu Ubaidah, while he was going, he said, I have sent you to the person who can teach you the best and who can also make you have the best qualities. The foundation of all qualities is ilm and iman. All other qualities will come when a human being has ilm and iman. And these two things are side to side. And ilm and iman is something that a madrasa produces on a daily basis. A madrasa, the teachers of a madrasa, the students of a madrasa, this is what they're doing on a daily basis. Environment of ilm and iman. Now when the child comes to this madrasa or to this environment, he will or she will surely come out, maybe not after 1 year. Now let me tell the parents one more thing. You see, the effect of goodness, they show after a long time. They don't show after a few days. They don't show after 1 year. Man, my son has been studying in madrasa for 1 year and nothing. Abhi tak main namaz ke liye uthata hu usko. Parents say that. Brother, I was studying in madrasa for 9 years and still my mom used to wake me up for Fajr. It takes a long time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes a while. It takes sabr and tahammul from the parents. But definitely, like how Shaykh Saadi says, Gile khushbu idar hammam rooze, Rasida dasta mahbub dastam, Badu guftam ke mushke ya abire, Ke azbure dile awaze tu mustam, Ya buhta man gile na cheeze bughdam, Walekin muddate wa gul nashistam, Jamale ham nashi darmand atharkat, Wagar naman hama hakam te hastam. He says, one of our teachers translated this poem. He says, Istalamtu turaba min yad al-habib fataha miska. A being who can spend time in the gatherings of ilm among ulama, what do you think will become of him? It's unimaginable. What do you think will become of him? The Prophet said, Jalis al-kubara wa khalil al-ulama wa khalid al-hukama. He said, sit with old people people that have reached their old age, 60, 70 years old, sit with them. You know why? When you sit with them, you will remember your old age. So sit with old people. It will humble you. It will bring you back to earth. It will remind you that one day I will also become old and I'm not just going to be young for the rest of my life. Second, befriend ulama. Make them your friends. Make them your friends. Who's your best friend? Mufti Rashid Sahib is my best friend. Who's your best friend? Maulana, this person is my best friend. This is a good quality. Ayyu julusa'ina khayrun. O Prophet of Allah, who is my best company? Man dhakkarakum Allahu ru'yatahu wa zadakum fil ilmi mantiqahu. That a person, when you see him, you want to know who your best friend can be? A person, when you see him, you come closer to Allah. When he speaks, your knowledge increases. And when he sit around him, your fikr for akhirah increases. He's the best person. The Prophet said, befriend ulama. And the third thing he said, spend a lot of time with wise people. Spend time with them. So today, everyone, Christians, Muslims, Jews, everyone, have the same fikr, same concern. How can we save the youth? Yes or no? Huh? Am I right or wrong? We all have the same concern. How will I save my youth? How can the youth be saved? The Prophet ﷺ said, Ala innaha satakunu fitna. The time will come where there will be fitna, where a youngster will be being pulled by two opposite forces. One force of Iman and one force of kufr. Same person will be pulled, one force towards immodesty and one force towards modesty. One force towards disobedience to parents and one force towards obedience to parents. And this person will be living his life like that. So Hazrat Ali said, Ya Rasulullah, mal makhraju minha. At that time, what will be the solution to the ummah? He said, Kitabullah, the book of Allah. فيه نبأ ما قبلكم وخبر ما بعدكم وحكم ما بينكم. First, the long hadith. But in short, the answer was the book of Allah. Study the book of Allah. Memorize the book of Allah. Learn the sciences of the book of Allah. And a person who will do this, man amila bihi ujra. If he acts upon it, he will be given reward. Man da'a ilayhi hudi ila surat mustaqim. A person who will invite towards it, he and the people who he's inviting will all be guided towards the right path. So right now, the answer to all the problems of the ummah is that we establish madrasas like this madrasa has been established, and we send our kids there. Not last but not the least, not just mashallah, to become hafiz is a very great thing. And those who become hafiz, may Allah reward all of you. And those parents who send their children to become hafiz, may Allah reward you for your courage. But the standard of deen is not just hafiz. What Allah wants, al-halalu ma ahlalt, wal-haramu ma harramt, wal-deenu ma shara'at, wal-amru ma qadayt. The standards is already set by Allah. Allah's standard is not just to just read Quran once. You know how they have from people from where our culture, nazara karte hain par bahut bura. You know, we have one big, what is it called? Ameen. MashaAllah, very good. But that's not the standard of what Allah wants. Okay, just finish Quran once and you're fine. What does Allah want from us? Allah wants that we continue on this road. Allah wants the parents to have courage and put our kids in madrasa, make them hafiz and also make them ulama. Not just hafiz, also make them ulama. And the biggest fear of parents when they say, the biggest fear is that if my kids become ulama, how will they survive? How will they earn? How will they make a living? My dear friends, if we have that fear in our heart, first of all, our iman is contaminated. Second of all, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, تَعَرَّفْ إِلَى اللَّهِ فِي الرَّخَاءِ يَعْرِفْكَ فِي الشِّدَّةِ. You send your kids at that young age to become hafiz and alim, and they spend that youth age learning the deen of Allah. Allah will grab their hands when they grow older. Allah will take care of them. Allah will feed them. Allah will take care of them. We don't have to worry about that. So my dear friends, in this talk, I would just like few messages. Number one is that every human being, his value in the eyes of Allah is based on his qualities. Number two, to develop these qualities, the foundation of these qualities is Iman and Ilm. What is it? Iman and Ilm. And that is why madrasas are known as Adam Sazi. Madrasas are known as Adam Sazi. They make human beings. To develop these qualities, we have to send our children to madrasas. We have to send our children to madrasas, not for 1-2 years, not just for evening maktab, for extended periods of times, and then we'll see the result of it. And lastly, if we cannot send our kids to madrasa because our kids are old and we are too old and we can't study, then the Prophet also gave us a prescription for that. He said, Kun aliman, either become an alim yourself. If you can't become an alim, aw muta'alliman, become a person who is becoming alim. Become a student of ilm. If you can't become a student of ilm, the third category for you is aw mustami'an. Become a person like you people that come to the gathering of ulama and pay attention to the lectures. Mustami'an means a person who pays attention to the lectures of ulama, not sami'an. Sami'an means a person who listens to CD in the car. Sami' means to listen. Mustami' means to pay attention and listen. And that you can only do in the gatherings of ulama. And if you can't even do that and you don't have time for that, aw muhibba. Become a person, I can't go to the gathering, I'm so busy. I can't send my kids. I don't have kids. I'm too old. Then make yourself in the fourth category. Become that person who has immense love for ulama. Immense love for what they're doing. Immense love for deen and ilm. And the Prophet said, وَلَا تَكُنِ الْخَامِسَ فَتَهْلِكَ. Do not become among the fifth category, and which is أَن تُبْغِضَ الْعِلْمَ وَأَهْلَهُ. Don't become the fifth category that you dislike and discredit what ulama and madrasas are doing. If you dislike and discredit and underestimate what they are doing and what their effort is, if you do that, you will be destroyed in this world and the hereafter. May Allah save us from that. Say Ameen. So may Allah make it easy for us to act upon whatever was said. Make ourselves among one of these four categories. If our children are young, we make intention. Wallahi al-azim, you will see the results of this in your life if you make these intentions. So I ask some brothers to raise their hands. Who has intention to make their children hafiz and alim? Raise their hand, inshallah. Make intention now, inshallah. Who has intention? Raise your hand. And if you don't have kids yourself, we should all raise our hands that we will encourage our family members. Raise your hand, inshallah. All of us will do it, inshallah. Nothing small. Stand with your head high that alhamdulillah, this is what my children are going to be doing. My children becoming hafiz and alim. And of course, if they want to pursue any other degree once they become hafiz and alim, they're more than welcome to do so. And they can do that. It's not like they can't do it. They can do it. So may Allah make it easy for us to act upon whatever was said, bring it into our lives, sit in the gatherings of ilm, and send our kids to madrasas. And may Allah bless Mufti Rashid Sahib and the madrasa over here. You know, I've traveled a lot in America. I say this a lot, that, you know, the fruits and the result, you guys are very lucky. The community over here, you guys are very fortunate. And I'm not saying this because Mufti Sahib is sitting here. I say this in Michigan as well, when he's not there. You guys are very fortunate to have an alim who is dedicating his life to serve your children. Not to serve his own children, to serve your children. And if it wasn't, Allah's using him as a sabab, and using his madrasa and his family as a sabab, and families have a big part. Him and his family, you know, he's leaving all day and his wife is sitting at home, and this is a huge sacrifice. So you people are very fortunate in this area that you have this facility. If you go to different portions of America, they cry for facilities like this. That where our children can go, not only become hafiz, not just go and sit in front of a computer and learn nadra. That doesn't help. You may learn the text of Quran, but you won't learn the nur of Quran. Come and see practical example. This man is wearing sunnah. This man is living what he's talking about. And then our children get impressed by it. And then maybe inshallah, if they get impressed by it, Allah gives them tawfiq to act upon it and become like him or better than him. And then we have many people like that walking around America. You people are fortunate. Do shukr to Allah and thank Allah, and whatever you guys can do from your own means, by sending your children, by helping financially, by helping morally, do it before the time goes, because you know what? One time will come where you will see, mashallah, madrasa over here will grow so big, and you will say, I wish I took part in it when it was smaller. May Allah make it easy for us. I thank Mufti Sahib and the brothers over here for inviting me, because when he invited me first, I said, I have no right to come. I'm too small, I'm too young. You know, my beard's not even big enough yet, and you're inviting me here. I'm just a small little child. He said, no, I want to invite you, you come. So I thank him for having so much respect for me. Jazakallahu khair. Wa akhu da'wana alhamdulillah alameen.
Allahu, 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 Allah, Allah.